This episode of Dolphins Today is made possible by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping on all their top-of-the-line men's grooming products when you use promo code DOLPHINS over at manscaped.com. On today's show, we have even more training camp winners and losers. Dolphins are off today. Joint practices get going tomorrow before the Week 1 preseason game. I will make note, since this is the second video we are doing, we are trying to focus on different players, so it's not the exact same thing, but there are a few overlap guys who I think are worth mentioning. Now, if you have not already, this is the time of the year to subscribe. We will be live Friday night for the Dolphins-Falcons watch party. We'll have the entire game for you guys. We'll do play-by-play, have some fun, have some Super Chat fun potentially as well. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/DolphinsNews. All right, some training camp winners. We are going to double dip on Tua here. And the reason why I felt comfortable doing this was Saturday's scrimmage did not go very well for the offense. It was a poor showing across the board. Offensive line, I think, deserves the majority of the blame. We're going to some of the winners as part of it as well here. But I do think Tua showed some really good leadership with the way he handled that iffy performance and sitting down, talking with the offensive line, the offense in general. That's kind of the next step in his maturation, is A, getting physically bigger to help avoid some of those injuries he's suffered in recent years, continuing to grow as a passer, but also a leader. I think that's going in the right direction so far for Tua. Let's go to wide receiver Braxton Berrios, who we've mentioned Eric Eichenberg to a certain extent, but I do think Berrios is a good shot of being the third receiver on this team. A battle that, make no mistake, is certainly not yet over at this time. It probably won't be over until later on in camp / the preseason. Among the other wide receivers, those not named Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, Berrios has a fairly unique skill set. He's got that undersized slot receiver shifty mold to him. And he also offers some valuable special teams abilities, which will go a long way, whether it's him, making the 53-man roster or just being the number 3 receiver. That should help him out pretty significantly there. That third spot is certainly not yet over. There's Braxton Berrios, Robbie Chosen, Eric Eichenberg, Cedric Wilson could still be in the mix there. That's 4 options the Dolphins have in what is going to be a secondary role. It's not going to be a, Berrios is like, he's going to get all the targets. It's going to be Hill and Waddle first and foremost, as it should be. But then that third, fourth option, whatever it is, that'll get some play. And we'll get plenty of one-on-one matchups, by the way. So whether it's on the slot or in the slot or on the outside, who ends up being the number 3 wide receiver for this Dolphins team? This is going to be today's pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage, go vote. BB for Braxton Berrios, CW for Cedric Wilson, EE for Eric Eichenberg, or RC for Robbie Chosen. Over to defense now. Elijah Campbell, the safety. Look, Brandon Jones has been a bit banged up. He's still kind of working his way back. Deshaun Elliott's been fine. But I think Campbell is an under-the-radar player to monitor for this Dolphins team. He's made some nice plays, mostly coming downhill in terms of being a potential hitter. You've got Javon Holland, who's going to do a lot of great things for this Dolphins team this year. But he's comfortable in a new defense. Mike McDaniels made the comment that, it's a new system. Don't underestimate the potential impact that can have. I think Campbell's a player we're overlooking to a certain extent. More corners. There have been some nice players who have emerged in the absence of Jalen Ramsey, and we should not ignore Kader Kohou in that conversation. With Jalen Ramsey out until December-ish, give or take there, Kohou is clearly the number 2 corner opposite Xavier Howard. He's got inside and outside flexibility, and that will go a long way for this Dolphins team. Kohou is going to have to play a big role for Miami. He was a brilliant surprise last year for the Dolphins organization. Now the goal is he takes another step forward, and I kind of think he is. The Dolphins will be okay without Jalen Ramsey, even if they won't have maybe the best cornerback room in the NFL like they might have had with Ramsey fully healthy. Today's show is made possible by Manscaped. You guys can get 20% off and free shipping on all of Manscaped's top-of-the-line products. That is highlighted by the Performance Package 4.0. It's got the Lawnmower 4.0, the best in below-the-waist men's grooming, the Weed Whacker if you have excess ear or nose hair, plus ball toner, ball conditioner as well, because let's be honest, you need to be smelling nice and fresh, my friends. Get 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code DOLPHINS over at manscaped.com. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. And by the way, you get the most comfortable boxers known to mankind, by the way. Links in the comments and the description. 20% off and free shipping with promo code DOLPHINS at manscaped.com. Next up on the training camp winners, Noah Igbinoghene, the cornerback here. We are always looking for what I call steady drum beats in terms of like you hear similar buzz pretty frequently throughout training. We've seen that for Tua. We've also seen it for Noah Igbinoghene. He has continued to draw praise, and even if the floor is fairly low, he looks like someone who can contribute as a corner. He looks like a real NFL corner, and maybe the ways he hasn't always done so in the past. Look, make no mistake about it. Noah has been a bust in his time in the NFL. He has not been very good. It's also worth mentioning, he's only 23 years old. Like, he is certainly not an old player by any stretch of the imagination. He is still very young. There are rookies who are, older than Noah Igbinoghene is right now. Kader Kohou is older than Noah is, which is kind of crazy to think about there. That's why you want to draft young players. I'm not excusing the draft pick. It has not been worth it. You have not maximized that rookie contract enough. But a 23, soon to be 24-year-old taking a step forward in his development is certainly not the most outlandish thing. Maybe we shouldn't write him off all the way quite yet. Although if you are traumatized by the previous years for Noah Igbinoghene, I get it. So are you buying the redemption arc? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comments. Let's talk Zach Sieler now here. The Dolphins' top members of the defensive line, I think, have played very well. Even Raekwon Davis has made a couple of nice splash plays. The depth obviously was a concern. That's why they brought in Deshaun Hand. Christian Wilkins, who we'll mention again in a moment, has dominated. I think he's been maybe the best player in Dolphins training camp, and that's very high praise. That's how good he's been so far. But Zach Sieler has had a very good performance as well. This might be his last year in Miami with him due for a new contract and Wilkins also due for a new deal, but I have high expectations for that duo up front. Of the Dolphins training camp winners, who do you think is the biggest so far? Could be a player we mentioned, one we didn't mention, maybe one we're about to. Get your answers in for me in the comments. We'll group a couple different players here because they all kind of fit a similar mold. They are the orange jersey winners since the last time we did this video. We, of course, don't know Saturday's practice until Tuesday, but if they even do it, we'll see how the joint practice goes from that perspective. The last three orange jersey winners in the top practice performer, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, and Jaylen Waddle. That's a pretty good trio of these are some of your best players. When we do these videos, I typically try to avoid the biggest names like these three names because we know they're great. Duh. But I do want to at least mention them because they got the jersey. The final winner here is Jake Bailey. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Michael Turk got cut by the Miami Dolphins. That leaves Bailey as the only punter on the active roster right now. So barring something crazy happening, congrats. Jake Bailey is going to be the punter this year for the Dolphins. Hopefully, though, Miami simply never punts. Some training camp losers. Let's go with Liam Eichenberg, who I think has shown a little bit better play in camp so far. This has less to do with what he's done and more to do with the reality of the situation right now for Eichenberg, that he is not the only option at the left guard spot. This is clearly going to be a battle for the Miami Dolphins. You're going to see Isaiah Wynn out there. You're going to see some Robert Jones. The left guard grouping is, I think, the positional weak point right now for this Dolphins offensive line. It is a little bit dicey, and if Eichenberg does not take a stranglehold on the job in the next couple weeks or so, he might not win it at all. Isaiah Wynn's getting healthier off the PUP list. Robert Jones played a little bit last year. The Dolphins have some other options that might not be great, but this battle is going to go on, and that makes it a bit dicey for Eichenberg. The Dolphins don't have the time to be patient with his growth. Who do you think is the biggest loser so far in training camp? Is it Eichenberg? Is it maybe somebody else altogether? Sound off in the comments. I'm going to cheat with this next group of names here. The players who were cut. Maybe it's a little bit mean, but you know what? In life, there are losers here. Some notable players who have been cut. There's Bennett Williams, the defensive back, Anthony Montalvo, the defensive tackle, Michael Turk, the punter. Pour one out for my guy, Will Scott. I'll also make note, somebody else has to be cut. As of filming, that has not happened. It'll probably happen later on today, would be my guess, to make room for the addition of Perry Nickerson we broke down yesterday evening. There is not an open roster spot, so someone's got to be waived or maybe waived injured and placed on IR. Bennett Williams, by the way, was waived injured, has also been released from injured reserve. John Lovett, the fullback, is sticking on injured reserve for now, at least. The final batch of losers here are your banged-up defensive backs. I think this is why Miami's been so aggressive in looking at guys like a Mark Gilbert and looking at a guy like a Perry Nickerson. The Dolphins have 15 corners for now, at least. I think someone's going to go to some type of reserve list or be waived or waived injured. They got 15 corners right now on the roster. That is a massive volume. You maybe see 12 in some cases. Talking over 16% of your roster is corners. Trillium still kind of working his way back. You're not going to play Howard Kohou in the preseason. Probably won't play Cam Smith a ton, Eli Apple a ton. Nick Needham's on the PUP list right now. Keion, Crossen, and Ethan Bonner are banged up right now. So because of that, the Dolphins are a little bit dicey at that corner spot. And Crossen and Bonner missing time stinks for them. There's an opportunity because Ramsey's banged up. Needham's banged up. Williams not fully back yet. Those guys are missing out on chances to show what they can do for the roster or practice squad. If you guys have not already, please make sure you are subscribed right here to our Dolphins channel, youtube.com/DolphinsNews.